and welcome you with us here on Business Today. I'm Abha Bakaya. Here are the headlines tonight. Market ends lower in a highly volatile session. Sensex ends 145 points down. Nifty gives up 17,350. Metals, PSU banks drag behind realty gains. Tata Sons Chairman addresses Air India employees for the first time, tells them success is achievable, but it will need the biggest change, the biggest transformation in their lives. Probe heat intensifies on ABG Shipyard. Enforcement Directorate to join the investigation soon, likely to look into money laundering by promoters accused of engineering the country's biggest ever bank scam. Chinese technology major Huawei under the lens. Income Tax Department searches company's premises in 3 cities as part of a tax evasion investigation. Huawei says its operations are fully compliant with laws. And another Business Today TV exclusive news break confirmed. Government notifies new safety rules for carrying children below 4 years of age on two-wheelers. New rules to be implemented next year. Benchmark indices failed to hold on to intraday gains in a volatile session despite strength across global markets amid easing Russia-Ukraine tensions. Sensex ended 145 points lower, tumbling from that 58,000 mark. Nifty gave up 17,350 after ending 30 points lower. Losses in financial and banking shares pulling headline indices down. Nifty Bank slipped below 38,000 with Nifty PSU Bank as the top losing index today. SBI, ICICI Bank, NTPC, Tata Steel, Ultratech Cement, some of the top laggards that we saw in trade. Gains in oil and gas and pharma shares lending some support to the markets. Divi's Labs, ONGC, Adani Ports, IOC and HDFC Life among the gainers today. Post a tepid response to its IPO, Vedant Fashions made a decent debut on Dalal Street. The shares of Vedant Fashions, which owns ethnic wear brand Manyavar, debuted on a positive note, listing at a premium of over 8% from the issue price of 866 rupees. The listing was on expected lines given the response to its IPO, expensive valuations, the complete offer for sale issue and the market volatility. The company raised close to 3,150 crore rupees through its public issue. The public offer had seen a total subscription of 2.57 times, with qualified institutional buyers lending maximum support. However, there was muted demand from non-institutional investors and retail investors. Shares of non-banking financial companies gained after the RBI granted NBFCs an extension to comply with its new NPA recognition norms. Shares of M&M Financial were the top gainer on the Nifty Financial Services Index. IIFL Finance, Poonawalla FinCorp, L&T Finance Holdings and Edelweiss Financial Services were among the biggest beneficiaries in trade today. The Reserve Bank of India yesterday had extended the timeline by 6 months for NBFCs to adhere to the new NPA recognition norms. The NBFCs will have time till September 30th, 2022 to put in place the necessary systems to implement this provision. After a 23-month ban, regular international flights may resume in India very soon. As per sources, the Director General of Civil Aviation, along with key officials of the Ministry of Civil Aviation, have proposed to lift the ban on scheduled international commercial flights. The flights may resume as early as March 1st. My colleague Karishma Sudani brings us more on this. Karishma, is the government looking to resume international flights for the summer schedule?
Well, right. That is the internal talk that is going around, but a final decision is yet to be taken, Abha. In fact, government sources tell us that the Ministry of Civil Aviation and DGCA have discussed this matter with the Health Ministry officials. It's been almost 2 years, you see. It was in March 2020, on the onset of pandemic, that international flights were suspended and the ban has been extended quite a lot of times, despite seeing revival of travel, and that is because of the various kinds and variants of COVID that was spread in last few months, in fact 2 years. Now a proposal has gone, but a final decision has to be taken. I'm also told that aviation minister and along with the health ministry officials will be reviewing this, and a decision could be expected soon. We know as of now that the suspension on international flights stands until Feb 28, so that is almost about 2 weeks, and post that, if the government takes a call to resume, it's definitely going to be a happy moment for the industry. Right now, the arrangement on international flight is through a bubble agreement, which is almost with approximate about 40 countries. So if the regular commercial international flights begin, it will boom traffic and encourage travelers to fly abroad.
Right, Karishma. Thanks so much for joining us with that. Tata Sons Chairman N. Chandra addressed the Air India employees for the first time today. He spread the word of working with passion and hinted to the employees about an upcoming transformation required from within and around. Listen in.
To the interior design of the aircraft and whatnot. If all of us can bring in that passion and work in a coordinated fashion with a single-minded purpose, where we contribute the best of what we have every day, this is achievable, and as I said, achievable in a shorter time frame. This will require a huge transformation, probably the largest transformation and the change all of you would ever go through.
The Enforcement Directorate has joined the list of central agencies deputed to probe the ABG Shipyard scam, while the Central Bureau of Investigation has issued lookout notices for the company promoters, ensuring they do not leave the country. The ED will be looking at allegations of money laundering.
There's a new alleged master scamster in town, beating these three poster boys by a huge margin. Rishi Kamlesh Agarwal is accused, along with his fellow directors, of engineering a massive 22,842 crore rupees scam, the largest ever in India. His company, ABG Shipyard, stands accused by the CBI of diverting funds, misappropriation and criminal breach of trust. CBI had already located the accused in India and issued lookout circulars to prevent Agarwal, former Executive Director Santhanam Muthuswamy and Directors Ashwini Kumar, Sushil Kumar Agarwal and Ravi Vimal Nevatia from exiting the country. While CBI has already begun a probe into the allegations, having located them in India, the Enforcement Directorate is set to join the investigation soon, with an eye on the money laundering trail. The CBI had filed a case on 7th of February after a complaint by the State Bank of India, which is among the 28 banks and financial institutions who lent funds to ABG Shipyard. The bank with the biggest exposure is ICICI, which takes a hit of over 7,000 crore rupees. Other big lenders include IDBI Bank, the State Bank of India, Bank of Baroda, Punjab National Bank, and Indian Overseas Bank, and even the IPO-bound LIC. The CBI has already conducted searches at 13 locations of the accused, including offices and other premises of the company and its directors at Surat, Bharuch, Mumbai and Pune, among others. The agency said that it has recovered incriminating documents during the search. The directors, who are the main accused, are yet to be arrested. With Chetan Bhutani, Bureau Report, Business Today Television.
It has hit the headlines as the biggest scam ever in the country. But what is the ABG Shipyard case all about? Business Today TV brings you the full report.
Started in 1985, ABG Shipyard has been building and repairing ships. The company, in fact, built more than 165 vessels of all kinds. Its shipyards are located in Gujarat, near Surat and Dahej. The company started taking loans from banks beginning 2001. It tapped as many as 28 banks to fund its financial needs. The CBI now claims that this money did not go into building or repairing ships at all. According to the Central Bureau of Investigation, the promoters of ABG floated 98 companies in India and overseas. The loans availed from banks like the State Bank of India, ICICI Bank and others were diverted to these firms and used to create personal assets. Several properties purchased using the loan funds were never reflected on the company's books. The scam was perpetrated using circular transactions via a layer of shell companies. Even after the company's loans were restructured, it was found to be diverting receipts from customers. However, the downturn in the global economy in 2008, which hit the shipping industry particularly hard, dried up orders, leading to the company to default on loans. In 2013, the loans were declared NPA on non-performing assets and within a year were restructured by banks.
The restructuring package was in implementation for over 2 years. But the shipping industry also faced a downturn during that time. So the projections that were given for the restructuring could not be achieved by the company. And finally in 2016, the account was once again classified as NPA from 2013 onwards.
Meanwhile, in September 2014, as part of the restructuring process, an auditor was appointed to scrutinize the accounts of the ABG Shipyard. The audit report of 2016 indicated a fraud. 3 months later, the loans were again declared NPA. In August 2017, the company was referred to NCLT for liquidation. A forensic audit of the accounts was finally ordered in April 2018. Banks finally declared the ABG account as fraud by March 2020. SBI, as the lead PSU lender, lodged a complaint in August 2020. The CBI finally lodged an FIR on the 7th of February. This is the man, Rishi Kamlesh Agrawal, who allegedly engineered the biggest scam till date, pegged at a massive 22,892 crore rupees. Though nowhere as flamboyant as Vijay Mallya, Nirav Modi or Ramalinga Raju, Agrawal beat them by a mile in the scale of the fraud that he is alleged to have perpetrated. Bureau Report, Business Today Television.
In a big move which enhances anti-money laundering protection, cryptocurrency exchange CoinDCX has partnered with Solidus Labs. With this, every transaction on CoinDCX will be monitored for suspicious activity. The partnership will guarantee surveillance of all user activity, from deposits, trading to crypto withdrawal. All of this against fraudulent transactions. This also enhances the exchange's compliance with the FATF recommendation to counter money laundering and combat terror financing. The crypto announcements on Budget Day sent shockwaves across the crypto community, but it was a mixed bag of responses. Some believed such an announcement legitimized the crypto space in India, while others were worried about its implementation. But what does this tax really mean for India's crypto investors? Will the CBDC increase financial inclusion in the country? Business Today TV's managing editor Siddharth Zarabi talks to Rajneesh Kumar, former chairman SBI, Gopal Jain, senior advocate Supreme Court, and Sandeep Agarwal, founder and CEO Droom, about the same. Here's an excerpt.
When the RBI governor calls it not even a tulip, do you think crypto and the potential that the underlying blockchain has is being discouraged? Is that what you are saying?
Until the rules and regulations are not there, we should not be assuming that something is just here and it's smoking guns,
okay,
and it's going to just bring the entire financial sector or for that matter any other sector to a standstill.
Right.
Right. I mean, there there's these new technologies exist for a reason, and if they have let's say when our old Indian wisdom that something which can last for 1,000 days, reality is it can last forever.
Right.
So if something has already existed for more than 1,000 days, we should cut some slack and let them breathe. And regulations can come at appropriate time. But the innovations and growth are something which are very temperamental. If they once they disappear, it's very difficult to bring them back. And in this 21st century, I would like to see India in a forefront of all the leading technological revolution, rather than missing out the current revolution which we are going through.
Siddharth, can I come in for a minute?
Yeah, Gopal, go ahead. Please go ahead.
So, just to give one word to the direction that Sandeep was mentioning, we need a booster shot to the legislation process.
Booster shot
And
for
perhaps-
legislation. That's a brilliant line.
And perhaps at a Vishwanathan Anand speed that is exponential and rapid, and that will ensure that businesses who are already there get supportive legislation, which, as he said, enables and helps them to grow rather than retard and put a roadblock because you're already there.
Are you saying, Gopal, that a roadblock is being put?
Well, the uncertainty creates a roadblock, and statements here and there, as you know, don't really shed much light on what is coming. So if you're good for taxation, you should be good for doing business, is how I see it.
A lot of Indians, as you know, sir, are dipping into cryptocurrencies. There is no framework, there is no KYC. There are platforms which are legally running in this country. Why is it that between the RBI, which is full of stellar people, and the government of the day, we have seen this back and forth?
This is something new, and let me tell you that we are not the only country where everyone is grappling with this new animal called crypto. Worldwide, the courts, they have treated crypto in a different way. Some courts have said it is a currency, some courts have said it is a commodity, some courts have said it is asset. So different countries have taken different position. Even their national governments have taken different position. So when this is something which is yet to be comprehended across the world, not only in India, so obviously we are finding it difficult to define. But in my view, the first step has been taken in the budget, where it has been defined as a virtual digital asset. Okay. And as you said that because your viewers, they need to understand the difference. So let me simply give you an example of gold. So gold at one point of time was being used as a currency also. It was a certain. It is a commodity also. And because it has a store of value, it is an asset also. Using the word currency for crypto is not right. It is not a currency. Currency has certain characteristics. It has sovereign backing. There is a promise to pay by either the central bank or the government or the sovereign to pay. There is nothing as far as crypto is concerned to describe it as a currency. And it is not a commodity. So the best description can be an asset. When tomorrow, as proposed in the law, Reserve Bank of India, they issue CBDC, Central Bank Digital Currency. Now, what technology they use and in what manner it will be implemented, we are yet to see the details.
Right.
But then if you call CBDC as a cryptocurrency, if it is using blockchain technologies, then it is a different matter. So I think the budget has taken the first step where you do the transactions and considering that you need to establish the identities. So the provision of TDS, and we can debate about whether how practical it is, whether the tax rate is high or low. But this is a recognition of the fact that large number of people hold crypto in their wallets today in India, and there is a huge amount of money which is sitting there. When RBI governor says about the underlying value, he is just warning these people who are holding crypto,
right,
that don't get carried away.
Don't
what is that?
Don't get carried away. One final quick question, Mr. Kumar, as we close the show, and because we are discussing technology driving change, I want you to explain as clearly as is possible with available details. What about this RBI digital currency? People ask all manner of questions.
Yeah. Let me try to explain it. That let us take example of a currency. All of us understand it. And who issues currency notes? Reserve Bank of India. How does it get distributed? Through the banks currently. We maintain all the banks. Many banks, they maintain currency chest as an agent of Reserve Bank of India, where the currency is held, but it is owned by Reserve Bank of India. Bank doesn't give. And when I do transaction, I give you a currency note and you accept it, and the transaction is immediately settled. So this is about how do we deal with the currency or cash.
And that's where we leave it on the show today. As we wrap up, let me remind you, we're back with our flagship query show, Ask Udayan. Do send in your queries and we'll answer them with Udayan next Wednesday.